and just set you up. Is that about that really, innit? That's a bit better. Right, we are on. Just shove this down a bit. There we go. Then I'll probably be in the frame better. Just tilt you over there a little bit. Right, we've got no one in, so I'll wait for a few people to come in. Yeah, 175th special. Didn't have anything planned for it. It's one in between, between 150 and 200. It is Thursday, right? Because no one's in yet. Normally people are in by now. Or at least there's normally a couple of people. I am a bit early, I suppose. 12:46. It's a little bit early. But yeah, so it's one in between. So I was thinking to myself, oh, well, I don't really need to do a special per se. But I thought I would just put special on the title. Oh, we got one person in. It must be just because I'm a little bit early. Oh, we got Aid in. Hi there, Aid. So yeah, drop your questions in the chat as usual. As I said before, I was just saying, Aid, I'm a little bit early, so that's probably why there's not as many people in yet. I think recently I've probably been coming on at 12:55, something like that. So yeah, I have been a little bit later recently. Hi, gonna listen while working. Oh, hi there, Deal City. What's so special then, ads? Well, I just put it special because it's 175th. You know, it's one between 150 and 200, and I thought it's kind of a special one, so I thought I'd just put the special. I like to do anyone's. I don't know whether I did one for 25 or not, but I like to do 25, 50, 75. I did one for 75, did one for 100, maybe did one for 125, maybe not. But I did one for 150, and I thought, you know what, I'll do it, just title it the special. So yeah, if you got any questions, drop in the chat. I've not got anything to talk about, as you can tell, because I'm not really... I don't know, I've just not got anything to talk about, which is very unusual. So, yeah, just drop your questions in the chat. Lovely having a cup of tea. Okay, so not really special, just clickbait. Well, it's not clickbait, it's just, I've just put the special. It's not clickbait. You know, it's just because it's 175th. So it's kind of special, because it's the numbers special, 175th, 200, 250, it's special number, so... Yeah, anyway, whack your questions in. Why is there only 3 people in? Normally there's more than this after like 2 minutes. Where is everyone? What's happened to everyone? Is there another live stream on or something? Because this is really odd. Like, we're on 3 minutes in now, and there's 4 people in. I don't get that. That's weird. That's weird. Maybe people will join in a bit. I don't know. But anyway, Richard Payne's in. Hi there, Richard. I don't know whether I said hi a minute ago. So yeah, sales, I may as well start with sales because sometimes I do. So yesterday, randomly, sales were really good. I did like 170 quid. I don't know why the hell that was. Then earlier in the week, I don't think sales have been particularly good. So I don't know what was going on yesterday. Us 4 are the equivalent of 400. Oh, there you go, 7 people in now. Maybe it is just because I'm a little bit earlier, but I'm not too much earlier. So yeah, I did 170 quid yesterday, which I don't even know how. I've not been listing. I'm not listed in quite a while, actually. I need to get listing. And, yeah, I genuinely don't know why I did 170 yesterday. Sometimes it's like that, though, isn't it? Where it just has... I've talked about it so many times, but where there's just these spikes, and you just don't know what's going on, you know? You don't know what it's to do with. Oh, kids are on holiday, probably people busy. Why people aren't in? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I didn't realise it is half term. I was coming home actually, and I saw all the kids on the park, and I said to my mum, "Why are the kids on the park? It's like 2 o'clock or something." And it was like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, something like that. And she said they're off holiday, but I don't have a clue because, as I've mentioned before, I'm in that weird interim period between obviously not being in high school or anything or college myself, but not having kids to even have any clue on when we're off or when we're in. So I really don't have a clue. And there's no one else in the family that's younger than me, so yeah, I never know unless someone tells me that they're off, obviously. Got Simon Moore, hi there. We've got Left Hand Down a Bit, hi there. Oh, loads of people coming in. Got Andy Robinson, hi Vads. We've got, did I say Southwest Sellers, Gary, hi there Gary. I was just saying to the others actually, it seems weird today, there's not as many people in, but we're just discussing that it might be to do with the kids' holidays and that maybe, you know, not as many people are in because they're looking after the kids. Hi all, out at the moment so won't be able to join. No worries Peter. Hopefully you are enjoying whatever you're doing wherever you are. So yeah, as I mentioned, drop your questions in the chat because I really haven't got a lot to talk about today. So I'll just be sat here just waiting for someone to put a question in and not saying anything if someone doesn't put a question in. So whatever your questions are, whack them in. Oh, Chris B's in, hi there. So yeah, I've said about sales. I really don't know what else to talk about. Ads, just looking at FBA, do you know if you purchase new sealed stuff at the car boot, whether you should sell it as new or use like new? Well, it depends on the seal. So if the item in question is brand new and sealed, there's no rips to the seal, even though you've got it from a car boot, it's still fine to sell on Amazon new. But if the seal is broken anywhere, then you might want to put either used like new or used very good, one of those two, depending on how bad the rips to the seal are. So if it's like a tiniest little rip to the seal, like tiny rip, then you may as well probably go like new. Now, like new, Amazon specifies that it still has to be in giftable condition. Of course, giftable condition is subjective, but really, I tend to avoid putting things. I don't do Amazon that much anymore, not to the extent I did a couple of years ago. But when I'm putting things as like new, I am very attentive to the rips in the seal. So if there are, you know, one or two rips in the seal here, there, and everywhere, I might not even put it as used like new. I might even go used very good, because it then comes into that realm of, is it in giftable condition? And if it isn't in giftable condition, someone gets it expecting it to be like that because you've put it down as used like new, can cause problems further down the road. But if it's just got a tiny little nick in the seal somewhere, I'll probably end up putting it as used like new. But if it's got more than that, I'll put it as used very good. But if it's got no rips and it's perfect, then I'll just put it as new, regardless of where I found the item, whether it be a car boot, jumble sale, wherever, because it's still new, even though it's obviously passed through someone's hands. Someone could claim that that's then a form of something being used because it's passed through someone's hands. But that's probably just taking it to the extreme, and no one's going to really know, as long as it is brand new and sealed, in the respect of it actually still has a seal intact. No one's going to really know in terms of an Amazon customer, and they're not really going to care so long as it is still sealed. But yeah, so I'm probably getting into that way further than I need to, but I did want to cover it quite well. Running out of space for stock and have free auctions Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wow, free auctions, that's crazy. I've got one on Tuesday, I think. I need to check. Oh, AgeBot has Q4. Actually, who says that? Someone used to say that. Was that Sib? Who used to say, has Q4 changed? Who used to say that? They're not in it. We don't come on the chats anymore, do we? Was it Sib who used to say it? I think it was Sib, wasn't it? But we're not in. He's not on Instagram as well, Sib, or he's not been on there for ages. And is Bitcoin still worth getting into? Well, I don't know. I've not checked prices. I think they're still going up. It's like the same as it was the other day. 8,700 in USD. Can I change this? I can change this to GBP, can't I? Oh no, I can't. No. Well, maybe I can't. Coinbase need to add that. I mean, not Coinbase, CoinMarketCap. Yeah, it's still going up, but it's kind of stalling out at the minute, just consolidating a little bit. But I'm not checking it every day. I'm just checking it every now and then. Yeah, Sib not been around for a while. Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, he had some medical issues going on. Hopefully he's getting better or something. I don't know, but he's not been on Instagram in a very long time. Hey all, in a meeting, so can't hear ads sadly, but just wanted to say hi. No worries, Andrew. Glad you've popped in to say hi anyway. Sib was on was he? Oh my god, that's weird I've mentioned that. I'm gonna go on to Karen's channel now and just check. Not that I don't believe you, I just actually genuinely want to see Sib on there. Karen sells clothes, right? I don't really watch your channel that much because it's clothing, innit? And I do not like clothing. I sometimes watch the... Oh, I thought you meant he was actually on the stream, but I'm guessing... One sec. Just mute that. So he was actually in the chat. Let's have a check. Can't see him anywhere on it. Oh yeah, there! Sib BBs. My god, yeah, he was on the chat, so he is still around. I've not seen him I've not seen him around anywhere in ages in the community. So that's nice to see he's still around anyway. Not on the channel, in the chat, yeah, I got it. Tap Peddler's in, hi there. Mike is in, someone called Mike. I don't know whether they've been in before. It is amazing, best work-life balance I've ever had. Are you talking to reselling? Talking about reselling there, I'm guessing. Do you need receipts for new stuff in case they check on you? Well, all I do from the car boots, and I've said this, well, I don't really go to car boots hardly anymore. I've probably been to about 2 or 3 this year, that's it. So I get a natural receipt from my auction, from the auction I go. But when you go to car boot, the only way I've always seemed to find to do it is literally just write down what you've purchased, write down the price you purchased it, and then put that away. There's simply no other way you're going to be able to go about it. Alternatively, you just buy your stock from elsewhere. I mean, for me, it's not too much of a disruption anymore because, as I say, I do the auctions more and I get my actual receipts from there. And it's a lot easier doing accounting for the auctions because when you do a car boot or jumble sale, you know, you're writing everything down in the form of a receipt or whatever, and you're putting all the prices on, and you might get 50 items from one car boot or something if it's a really good day, or maybe even more, maybe less, I don't know. But if it's a really good day, you're going to get a lot of items. So then you have to write them down, you know, all together. You know, you can maybe write down X group of DVDs together rather than writing each single DVD down. But, you know, you have to write all these things down, and then obviously you have to account for that and stuff, and it just takes a bit more time. With the auction, I go to one auction, a couple of auctions a month, something like that, and I just pick up a crap ton of stuff that'll last me, you know, 3 or 4 weeks. So I'll go to an auction, and then hopefully most times it'll last me 3 or 4 weeks. And then I have one receipt, and I put that figure into my little book, and that's it, done. I don't need, there's no more accounting than that. So it's, and obviously put my receipt into my little concertina folder, but that's it. And that works so much more easily. But yeah, the receipts thing is always the receipts thing is probably the biggest thing that gets people when I know you're not necessarily new to reselling, but other people who are new to reselling, it does get them. And I mean, I did, and I've mentioned this before, I did have terrible trouble with my accounting, trying to sort out how I do this and how I account for this and what's the best system of accounting. And I had a spreadsheet for a while, and then I moved on to a different system. I can't quite remember what that other system was, but I used a different system for maybe a month or 2, and then I moved on to this system that I've got now, and the system that I've got now works for me the best, and it has done for probably over 2 years now. So yeah, you know, it's just about experimenting really. Now going to at least 5 auctions a month. Now need eBay to wake up and sell the mountain of stock. Oh my god, 5 auctions a month, that's crazy. What's the auction you're going? Hey, I'm not telling you that. Anyway, you guessed it, but I'm not telling you that because then everyone bloody go there, won't we? No, I know everyone knows the auction I go to. Well, a lot of people do, because I'm not very savvy with keeping it quiet, am I? But yeah. Anyway, if you got any more questions, whack them in the chat. I want to start Amazon at FBA. Never done it, but oh wait, it's just gone. Chat's just jumped a little bit. Never done it before. What would you say is the best product to start with? I seem to get a lot of FBA questions these days. I have got a what's it called? A course. I've got a course on FBA that I should edit and put up on my channel. But the problem is with the course, and the reason I've not put that one up, I've put all my other courses up recently. But the reason I've not put my FBA course up specifically is because when I was doing it, I had my light up here on, and it was projecting onto the green screen. And I can't, and because that light was projecting too heavily onto the green screen when I was doing it, I can't key the green screen properly. So I don't mind putting it on, so long as people don't mind just seeing the green screen as a background, rather than actually putting something in place of the background, like that wooden background I have. But I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to put it on because I just feel it looks unprofessional. I really do. And when it comes to the green screen, I like to be as professional as I can and light it as well as I can with the equipment I've got. And it just annoyed me that I didn't take the care last year when I was doing those courses, or that specific course, to realise that that light was going to be too bright in order to, in order to be able to key it correctly or not be able to key it correctly. So yeah, I will put it up. I'll edit it and stuff if people want me to do that, and you just have to kind of bear the fact that the green screen's behind. Yeah, add. Please do put the FBA course on. I like green, okay. I will do then. I'm good with green screen, just appreciate the advice. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are, so I will put it on, because people tend to really want FBA advice at the moment. I don't know why, but might see me there, ads, you got competition, oh my god. I don't go there, I just do it online, because it's easier for me just to do it online, but I go to the viewing, so you might see me at the viewing on Monday. What was that question from Mike? He said something about FBA, didn't he? And I ignored it pretty much. Where is it? Maybe not, did I? Oh, what's the best product to start with? I don't know. I mean, I started with board games and DVDs and stuff like that. I don't know whether you can still sell DVDs on there. I picked up a DVD the other day, and I scanned it, and it told me that I could sell the product. I'm just moving that because there's a bit of light there. It told me I could sell the product, so I don't know, maybe you can still sell DVDs on there. I haven't a clue these days with restrictions. They're all over the place, but yeah, I would say I started with DVDs, board games. Lego was another one, but I know Lego's restricted for most people nowadays. So yeah, just anything sealed. I would say anything sealed is a good route to go down. Books would be another one. Books is probably a fairly decent one to start with. And maybe just go for books that are like rank 500,000, maybe 700,000-800,000 tops. And just, if 100,000, then brilliant. But certainly if you go for anything below about 700,000-800,000, you're going to be alright. So yeah, books maybe be another one. But generally, I like starting with sealed stuff, and I just made a box up of a load of sealed stuff and sent them off. And I remember getting my first set. Well, actually, I didn't have any sales on Amazon first few days after the box got checked in, and I was thinking, oh, I've not got any sales yet. But then I flipped onto one of the European marketplaces on the side of the seller app. Or which side is it? The left side or right side? Right side, I think it is. Those three little lines. But the right side, I think it's left side. Hang on, is it? No, it's the left side, right? Is it the right side? I can't think. Is it the left or the right? Anyway, either side. But there's three little lines, and then you click on them, and then you go down, and you can select your marketplace, right? So I then selected different marketplaces and realised that I'd got sales in other marketplaces. So I hadn't got any sales on the UK account yet, or the UK marketplace, but I had on the other marketplace, and I was like, yeah, finally I've got some sales. So I actually thought I hadn't had any sales, but I had. Yeah, uni textbooks are good as well. That's a good one. I just put all my CB purchases in a book, then enter the combined monthly figure into QuickBooks. That's very similar to me. I did see that question from Mike earlier on. What accounting system are you using at the moment? So, like Richard said there, he puts his car boot purchases into a book and then uploads that to QuickBooks, or puts it on QuickBooks, or transfers it over. I don't know, because I don't do QuickBooks. Maybe I should look into it. But what I do is a very, very similar process. I put all my figures in my book, and then I transfer them onto a profit and loss account. Very simple, basic. total sales. I do put any other business income underneath that column as well, just in case there's any other business income. Then I put my cost of so I do, what do I do? Total sales, cost of goods bought maybe, and then I subtract them to get me gross profit. Then I do all my other overheads. Then I do my net profit. Then I get my net profit from the combined two of those figures. So gross profit minus my overheads to get my net profit. I could, well, actually, you know what? I'll get it up, because I need to get it up instead of doing it in my head, because I might get something wrong. Now it's finding where it is. Here we go. Right, and I can get it up, and then I can say to you what the layout is properly instead of remembering. So I've got total sales at the top, then I have cost of goods bought, then I have gross profit. And what I do is the total sales and minus the cost of goods bought off that total sales to get my gross profit. Then I have an overheads column, and then I have eBay fees, PayPal fees, postage, etc, 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 all my overheads. And then what I do is put a total overheads column and add up all those overheads using, what do they call it, the formula on Excel. I learned it in high school, but I can't remember what it's called and stuff. I'm not really that techie with Excel and documents and stuff. So then I have my total overheads, and then what I do is a minus, is that sum? Yeah, that sum will be the total overheads, won't it? Yeah, so that's my gross profit minus my total overheads to get my net profit / net loss, if there is a net loss. So, yeah, that's essentially what I do. And then that monthly one, because this is done monthly, gets, at the end of the year, the 12 monthly profit and loss accounts, I add up all together to create a master profit and loss account for the year. Now, I know there's some people watching who have been watching me for ages, and how many times must have I explained this on Thursday Talks episodes? I do not know. But people keep asking me, and I feel like I need to keep saying it. So yeah. So I apologise to those who have been with me for a while and have to bear me saying that. Can you do a video showing how to open an account and step by step sending items to Amazon? Well, that's kind of, I don't show you on the course how to create an account, because that's fairly simple. I mean, there's a couple of questions that you have to answer that you might need a little bit of help with, but it's fairly standard. But on the course, I actually go through how to send an item. I actually do a full FBA shipment on the course, so that's kind of what the gist of the course is. So I wouldn't worry about that. I will take you through that. But creating an account, most people will be able to do it. It's not too hard. I'd say there's maybe a couple of questions on the page. I think it's to do with your UTR number or whatever. That if you don't know what a UTR is, then you're gonna have to go away and get one and all the rest of it to be able to answer that question. But mainly, it's fairly easy to sign up as far as I'm aware. I just download the PayPal transactions onto a spreadsheet once a year for money in and add car boots profits and Amazon fulfilled by merchant sales. That's an interesting way of doing it, but I'd probably screw that up, because so you do PayPal onto a spreadsheet, and also the thing is, I have a lot of other things. So I have like my Teespring store, and I have my Google AdSense, and I have my Amazon Associates, and I have my top cashback, and I have, you know, other different things. I don't put my crypto into my business because crypto falls under capital gains, so it doesn't go through my business. It has to be taxed separately. But I have all these different things, so when I do the profit and loss account, it helps me organize them in a better way, I suppose visually, for me to be able to think, right, I've got all these different costs or all these different revenue streams. This is how I can kind of organise them that way. But it is a decent way of doing it, actually, doing the PayPal transaction. What I do is I download not the activity report. What's it called? Is it the monthly sales report? I don't know what it's called. Monthly sales report, monthly transactional report, something like that. But I download that and I download it and then print it off and then put it in there every month, because that shows me my eBay sales and all the rest of it. And it's good for putting in a file if HMRC come round and backing up the figures that you've shown on your own personal profit and loss, you can then say, right, well, to be honest, it's needed that you do that actually, but yeah, it's good for backing it up as well. So you've got the backup, and then you've got your profit and loss, so you're showing your figures, then you're showing the actual figures. Obviously those two things should meet as well. And then you can also do things like print off other different things if you'd like to add on to that. I have in my folders, I have all my receipts, I have my lockup receipts, I have my Amazon FBA stuff, of course, my Amazon FBA history, I have my auction receipts, charity shop receipts, all this sort of stuff, so it's quite a lot. PayPal gives you an overall figure and all the sales. eBay fees returns just give it to my accountant with the auction receipt and any other receipts. Oh, you have an accountant. Wow, that's interesting. A lot of people have an accountant now. I saw this before as well. Wave accounting is good and free. Also has a receipt photograph. You see though, with this photograph thing, right? This is skewed a bit. There we go. Is that a bit better? Don't know. But with this receipt thing, the only thing that gets me right is I'll forget to, the photograph receipt thing I'm talking about, not just the receipt thing, but I'll forget to photograph the receipts, and then, whoa, 300 quid for the year. I was thinking that was 300 quid for a month then. That better be a year. I'm not paying 300 quid a bloody month. Yeah, it'll be a year, won't it? But, yeah, so, yeah, that's not too bad, to be honest. If it is for a year, that's what, like, less than 30 quid a month. Like, 25 quid a month, something like that, so that's pretty good. But yeah, so what was I saying? So this photo thing, I'll forget to, this is why I'm not too keen on doing QuickBooks or whatever the service is that you do you snap your receipts. I don't know, I think I'll forget to do them. I'm a type of person who does like to have things in my own control. I think a lot of businessmen are like that, in where they like things to be somewhat in their own domain. So I like to have my figures sorted by myself, etc. I like to have the things that I print off. I like to know that I'm looking at them, cross-referencing them with my figures and stuff like that, and just taking an overall control of it. I don't know why, but I as a lot of people do, small business owners, large business owners, entrepreneurs, that sort of stuff, it's hard to let go of that control, Is your eBay shop public? Well, yeah, of course it will be public, otherwise I wouldn't get sales, would I? So, just go up very quickly. Don't think there's anything I mixed out. Oh, sorry, I didn't say hi to Thrifty Trooper. Hi there. You still need the physical receipt, so I don't get these QuickBooks. I prefer the old-fashioned way. Well, yeah, exactly. You would still need the physical. I wasn't sure whether you would or not, but I was imagining that you still had to keep the receipts physically. So yeah, I just, I'm not too bothered about doing that whole thing, and I don't know, I just don't like the idea. I don't know why, but I really like, I was going to grab it actually, but it's under a pile of stuff. But I like having my black book there, and I really do. Something nice and very tangible about writing in the figures and thinking, right, that's X cost, etc. And then transferring those to my spreadsheet. I like that. And again, I think it comes back to that sense of I'm in control because I've got the book. I've got my figures in this book, and I'm in control of the figures, and no one's gonna, no one's necessarily taking over. I think this is what it is. It's like no one's taking over my business, and this is why I think if ever I do have to get an accountant, I'll find it hard because feels like someone's taking over my business to some extent. It's why I suffered so much at the psychologist, because I was thinking that she was taking over my recovery in the sense of the worth and the intrinsic value of my recovery was now her achievement, not mine, you see. So I suppose I've just got that in me that I just genuinely don't like control in any form of of doing it. Christos is in. Hi there. If you're self-employed, do it yourself. If you're a limited company paying VAT, etc., then accountants will pay for themselves in the long run. Yeah, I was always thinking, if ever I become VAT registered or anything like that, then I will get an accountant. There will always be a time that I'm going to have to relinquish the control, and when I do that, I'm not going to be an idiot. I'm going to be, I'm just going to relinquish that control because I know it makes sense for the growth of a business. Because one of the intrinsic things of running a business is being able to, when it's really needed, and I stress the point of when it's really needed, you can let go of that control. But for me at the moment, it isn't really needed. So long as I can have control myself, then I'll keep the control myself, because that's naturally how I like to work. But when it gets into the realm of me trying to keep the control is actually harming my business, in the sense of, maybe, for example, I get VAT registered and I try and do it all myself, and I'm spending hours and hours, days upon days, trying to learn VAT, trying to learn how to do it myself. I'm really forcing myself to learn it. That's taking a lot of valuable time out of my business, and therefore that control, my desire for that control, is actually a big hindrance to me in that situation. And therefore I have to recognize that as a businessman, as a good businessman, I must relinquish the control to a third party. But also in doing so, a good businessman would always, what's the word? Oh, it's a very good word and I forgot the word. No, this isn't a word I was thinking of. But a good businessman would always vet the person that they're relinquishing control to. So they wouldn't just relinquish the control to any old accountant or anyone, anyone really. They'd make sure that they would be making sure that they vetted that person, and that they are going to be someone who's going to really look out for their business. So yeah, there's two sides to it really. You've got to, I suppose, at one stage of a business, you've got to learn to have control without having control, in the sense of, like I talked about, you're still in control in terms of determining and delegating, but you are not in control in the sense of the fact that those people are now, you are relinquishing a bit of your control to them, but you are still delegating, so you do still have somewhat of the control there. So it's kind of like control without control. It's interesting. Anyway, we will have a look in the chat. We've got Kelly in the chat. Hi there. I don't know why, but it seems like we are thin on the ground today. I don't know why. There's a few different people in, which is good, but I don't know where a few of the usual people is. I don't know. Who do we normally have in? We have Andrew's at a meeting. Peter's out somewhere. But we normally have, what do we have? We normally have Kirsten in, do we? Or sometimes we have Kirsten in. We have, who else do we have in? Oh, sometimes we have Nick in. Sometimes, I'm trying to think of the regulars now, and it's quite hard to do. Oh, we have Lucy in sometimes, don't we? Most of the time. Who else do we have? Sometimes we have Glitter Sunflower in. Who else is? I feel like there's a lot of people missing today for some weird reason. I don't know why. There's 27 in, yeah, no BCP in. Yeah, no BCP. Who else? There's probably another 5 people or so missing, but there's 28 people in. I normally have, I think, these days I peak out around 35. I used to have maybe 40, 45. Steve Green isn't, DBG isn't in. Yeah, DBG isn't in. Yeah, but Z doesn't always come in. Z sometimes comes in, but not always. Yeah, DBG. Chrissy. I am lingering but working for one, so not in the chat much. Chrissy's in, right, that's another one. Oh, is Chrissy an admin? I didn't know she was an admin. Yeah. I don't know, but it seems like maybe there's 5 people missing. It's not that many, but it just seems like there's a couple of, who else? I swear there's someone else I'm missing. I don't know, maybe it's just me. We'll be all going digitally eventually, VAT has. Oh, all the accounting and stuff. Yeah, I suppose so, if accounting is what you're talking about. Lynn Retro Vintage, I've seen you on a couple of other people's chats. Hi there. I don't know whether you've been in mine, but yeah. Welcome anyway, if it is your first time. Maybe it isn't, I'm not sure. Sometimes I do miss people in the chat, so you may have been in before for all I know. No, I mean, do you share it with us to see? I don't generally share it. I did do years ago, but now I don't know, I've just gone through a period of I'm not really that into sharing it necessarily. Not seeing BCP in a chat yet today, starting to get worried. Yeah, he's usually in a lot of chats, isn't he? That's what I've heard anyway. Peter always says about that, BCP being in loads of different people's chats. He's always, a load of the American chats as well. Has there been any chats today? Oh yeah, there was Karen, wasn't there? Hang on, wait, how come Karen's on today? It's Thursday. Doesn't she normally come on Monday? I don't know, but I tell you what though, was it last Thursday? Yeah, I think it was last Thursday, wasn't it? But there was a ton of chats on. How many chats there was on? There was, who came on? There was me. Louise was on twice, wasn't she, on Thursday? There was Nick. And there was a couple of others last Thursday. It was crazy last Thursday. It was literally from 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, right the way through, there was chats on every other hour. It maybe even less than that. It was quite crazy. But yeah, it was... there we go. That's another person who's normally in. Louise. Right, there we go. That might have been the other person I was thinking of. I don't know. But yeah, so... it was crazy last Thursday, and then last Friday, I don't know whether people know, maybe people watched it, I don't know, probably did, but I was on Money Mental's channel, Andrew's channel, and I was on Bolarama's channel, Jay's channel, with Louise and Corey and Andrew. Well, Andrew didn't come over to Jay's channel, but yeah, so that was good. So that was Friday night, which we stayed up pretty late for that. We were like 9 o'clock till, that was on from like 9 till 12, so... yeah, and then I don't know whether I should say this or not, but I'm going to say it anyway, and whatever the repercussions are, I don't really care. I'm sure it's not a secret, though. But yeah, so I'm in a Facebook group, and I'm not on as most people are aware now, I don't do Facebook much. But every now and then I check it on my computer. I don't have the app on my phone anymore. I deleted that ages ago, and I very rarely reinstall it. And I was on Facebook, and I go on my computer on Facebook every now and then, and I looked on Facebook, and I'm in this group, and it says Reseller Lads or something anyway. So because someone messaged me on Insta, what's his name? I can't pronounce his username. I don't think this is his real name. It might be, but it's like Dawala or something. DWARLES. So I don't know. No, there's an O in there as well. I can't pronounce it. I don't even know what it is. But anyway, he messages me and says, "Oh, we're all wondering where you are in the lads chat." So anyway, I've not gone on Facebook, have I? Oh, is that Dave? Who's Dave? What, that guy I'm talking about? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just a chat in the chat. Anyway, I'll catch up on the chat in a minute. So I go into Facebook, and it seems that anyway, this guy messages me on Insta. Sorry. When they're live, and he says, "Oh, the guys are missing you," or whatever, or anything. Anyway, it was 10 o'clock or something at this point. I'm not going to join the live stream at that point, since I was in bed and everything. So anyway, I go on Facebook. I think it was the next day I go on Facebook, and I'm in this group, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even realise it was on Monday, because I was going to join the Reseller Lads. I was gonna pop on. So apparently, I think it's meant to be on next Monday. So if it is on next Monday, I will probably join that. I think it'd be like 8 or 9 o'clock again. But apparently, I've not watched the chat, because I don't generally watch that many live streams back, because I don't know, I just have a weird thing with watching live streams back these days, where it just, I don't know, I watch a few back, but I don't watch many back. It feels weird watching a live stream back. I don't know whether anyone else gets that feeling. But I did notice, because it came up on my feed, that there was like 10 people on it. It was ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know how that went down in terms of consistency of talking between each other, and whether anyone was able to actually get a word in from other people obviously talking over themselves or what. I don't know, but yeah, I might need to watch a little bit of that just to see how it panned out with people talking over each other and stuff, because 10 people's a lot in a chat. I mean, most of the time, I think the biggest chat I've been in on reselling wise is about 6-7 people, and that was quite hard to manage. You know, people were starting to speak over each other and stuff, and it kind of can't be helped, and that's perfectly fine. But when you get to that many people, it is sort of like, ooh, should we scale it back or whatever? So, I mean, what they could do is you could have 2 reseller lads chats, maybe 5 people in each chat, right? This is if it gets out of hand with how many people are. 5 people in each chat, and then they alternate, so people switch over to the you have like 2 groups essentially, like in football or whatever. When you're in high school, you get divvied up into groups. And one week there's certain people, there's 2 groups of 5. One week there's certain groups of people on this 5. The other week there's certain people, different people on this other 5, and they alternate. Like people getting picked for different teams at different times in PE. And then you do 2 lad shows. You do maybe one on a Monday, one on a Friday or something with these different teams. And as I say, you switch them around. Well, not teams, because they're not competing, but these different groups. And then you switch around. And, this is only if it's getting out of hand. Like people are just talking over each other. It's just getting too messy. Because I could imagine with 10 people, it might get to that. But I don't know. Maybe you could have bloody 50 people in there and it'd be fine. So I don't know. Anyway. Oh, Nigel wasn't in before as well, so yeah, that might be another person I was thinking. Oh yeah, I watched it, worked fine, huh? Well, there we go. Might have just been alright then. It's on Nick's channel next Monday, 8 or 9. Yeah, that's what I heard from in the group, actually. Oh, are you in the group, Derek? I think you're in the group, actually, yeah. Didn't realise. I don't know who's in the group, actually. I'm just assuming the people who are chatting in here aren't in the group, but maybe there are some of them in here who's in the group. Anyway. I'm going up because KLC and a couple of other people were saying something, I think, up here. That was the one on Thursday. That was the Thursday I got nothing done. Yeah, I know, my God. I think I was in quite a few of the chats. I don't even remember. Oh, it was Andrew as well. Wasn't Andrew live? Wasn't it like cooking with Andrew or something as well? So we had, I'm pretty sure we had Louise on in the morning. I'm sure there was someone else on in the morning, but I can't remember. We then had me on normal, now, this time. Then we had Louise on later on in the afternoon, maybe 3-ish. Then I think we had Cooking with Andrew. Then we had Nick, and I'm sure we had someone else after that. I can't remember, but maybe we did, maybe we didn't, but yeah. I think George was on too. George? You mean who? Oh yeah, George. Yeah, George was on too. My God, that was crazy. Yeah, he was, because I remember him saying he was. He said good chat. I dropped him the chat, and when I popped in, he said, "Oh, it was a good chat this week, Ad." So yeah, I remember he must have been on. Oh, it's just the phone's tilting over. The lines are blurred too with the word lads. Some real oldies on it, but lads. Yeah, but. I don't know. That's something quite interesting. Debating what the word lad means in a circumstance. Because I've never really attributed lad to a certain age group, actually. I've never attributed it to someone being 20 or 30. I mean, maybe if I've said lad, sometimes I might have thought, oh, maybe they're 30 odd or late 20s or whatever. But yeah, I don't really associate too much with an age, but that's because I suppose anyone can be a lad, it's... I suppose socially, or in the urban kind of way of saying it, it does kind of have a little bit of a connotation of, oh, he's a bit of a lad, but and that is one way of seeing it, I suppose. But when you're using it just to describe a lad being just a man, or, guy or whatever, then it doesn't have much of that ring to it, and therefore it can be more of a universal any age kind of principle. It depends on which way, when someone says it to you, which way you interpret it. None of them on there either. None of them on there either? What do you mean? No lads on there? What, I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, Peter's hosting it week after. I don't know whether I read that out. Yeah, well, it's meant to be rotating, isn't it, around everyone's channels, so... Yeah, it should be a good... I think it'll work pretty well, because we've got the ladies one on the Friday, and then we've got the lads one on the Monday, so that's nice. We've got other people's random ones spread throughout. I mean, to be honest, there's just too many... Let's be frank here, let's be real, let's be honest. There's too many live streams. I mean, most people now, if you want to go on... I mean, I don't go on any other time than Thursday Talks anyway, but if I wanted to go on, or... anyone wanted to go on, it's hard to actually go on, because you think, oh god, no, someone else has just gone live, damn it, you know. So it's getting quite ridiculous. And I remember about 2 years ago, because Thursday Talks must be over 2 years old now. Yeah, oh my god, it's over. My god, Thursday Talks over 3 years old now. Yeah, isn't it? Oh my god, I didn't realise that. Yeah, so 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I first started Thursday Talks, the live streams were very, very. It wasn't like what is now. I mean, there was Nick's chat. The chat must have been going, but it was, or maybe, I don't know. But I remember before the chat started, which was a long time ago. But before the chat started, there was simply just a random chat with Nick every now and then. There was hardly anyone else went live. There was hardly any live haul videos or anything like that. It was all just recorded stuff. And then I realised once the chat started, and once I had started Thursday Talks, which actually was a very, very similar time, because we're on very similar numbers actually. I don't even know whether Nick's numbering them anymore actually, but we're on very similar numbers anyway. And I remember once I started this, and once Nick started that, and then people started doing more live hauls, I thought, my god, once more people jump on board, this is gonna get crazy. And now we're here, and it's getting pretty crazy. But I do enjoy it. I'm not trying to sound ungrateful for the live streams. I do enjoy the live streams, but it can be quite hard to, if you're a YouTuber, to jump on and just do a live stream whenever, or get any work done. Simply quite simply get any work done, because there's all these live streams on. You think, oh, I just jump in, or, you know. And I'm not generally one that procrastinates so much with live streams, but I know there are a lot of people who do that. And even though if there is a live stream on, I will procrastinate a little bit and I'll jump on. But yeah, I mean, it is just crazy at the moment. But I am very grateful for the social aspect of it, of jumping in the chats and all that sort of stuff. It's brilliant, and that sort of side of it is the foundation of which we can form and sustain and maintain the reselling community. And so we can't ever dismiss that too much. But at the same time, I did years ago have this feeling of, oh, this is going to get crazy, and now there's so many people on, it is getting like that. But I have to say, I enjoy a lot of the people who are doing lives at the moment. I enjoy Andrew's cooking shows and stuff like that when I end up catching them. I enjoy Louise's chats as well when she does lives. I pop into Nick's every now and then. I don't watch as much as Nick as I did when I first started, of course. My god, I don't think any of us watch as much as Nick's videos now as when we first started. Just binge watching them, or even if you didn't start with Nick, but you know, same difference really. But yeah, so I enjoy that, and I enjoy, who else do I enjoy? I enjoy watching Steve, of course. I've always been a fan of, well, I say I've always been a fan of Steve. I didn't watch a lot of his early vlogs, probably first few hundred actually, but then I really started getting into Steve. And then, you know, obviously I watched Steve. But yeah, so I love the live streams in that regard. But yeah. Anyway, we will. Oh, Corey and I are live tonight. Wow, there's another blooming live. This is crazy. God. Reseller gentlemen coming through. Yeah, we could all just wear like hats, and we could all just put like real. We could wear suits and stuff, couldn't we? Just like real gentlemen. Reseller gentlemen. No, what we could do is, I suppose we maybe find a way of putting tat into it, so it's a little bit dishevelled. So reseller gentlemen, and we're all in kind of suits, but we might have like a tatty tie on, or a tatty bow tie, or a tatty hat on, or something that makes it just look a little bit dishevelled, so to speak, or so to say, that we are, you know, we are resellers, we are taxsters, or whatever you want to call it. You know, there's all these different names for it now. So yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, what's that? Oh god, where's it chat going? Yeah, it's going to be on my channel this time. Make sure you set up the hangout. That Corey is useless. Good question, Ed. Maybe 8 PM. I will try and catch up. What's 8 PM? 8 PM. I'm trying to think what I've got to do. I don't think I've got much to do. Oh, I will tell you very quickly, and I know people won't want to hear about this, but it's fine. Well, maybe a few of you will. The people who are on the chat probably will. Some of the people who watch the chat afterwards probably won't care about this. But anyway, so a lot of you will know from my philosophy channel and everything, and because I've talked about it on here so much, that I'm really into these Eastern philosophies, Eastern religions. And I've looked into something called Zen Buddhism, which I've talked about on this channel, I've talked about on my philosophy channel quite a lot, and I think it does come through these days in my speech. So, for example, on Thursday talks these days, I'll be quite considered with my speech. I don't know whether people have noticed that a little bit more. So I pause for silence a lot more. I'm more considered with my speech. I'm more aware of myself, my presence, etc. So, and again, I just did it then. that's an actual example of it then with that silence. So, you know, I've practiced that in a way, and I've been able to become more conscientious and more aware of myself in that way. Anyway, so I know the fundamentals, or certain fundamentals, of Zen Buddhism. I'm no expert in it, but I know the fundamentals. So that means that when I meet someone who has practiced Zen as well, after a very, very short conversation, a very short amount of time, I can identify immediately that they've practiced Zen, because Zen is this thing that it can't be described, but when you practice it and you can see it in other people, essentially, that's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, I go into Waterstones, I go on the train. I've not been on the train for 4 years with my anxiety, but I go on the train to Knutsford with my parents, and I go into Waterstones, which is a bookshop, of course, and I'm looking at the philosophy books. Right? Well, actually, I'll tell you this first. So I walk in, and there's this guy, and he's holding this ball. It's like a squeezy ball. And he's talking quite loudly to this one of the young ladies on the counter. She's probably not much older than me, maybe around my age. I wasn't looking or anything. I just quickly glanced, that was it. But it doesn't matter if I was looking, would it? But anyway, so she's not much older than me. Anyway, so I immediately thought, oh, that guy's a bit different. I didn't know he had practiced Zen or anything. But I go over to the philosophy books, and I'm looking at them, and my dad's next to me looking at some books or whatever. And he comes up not behind me, but just to the right, a bit, you know, he gave me a fair amount of space. He was a couple of meters away from me, but he comes up, like, sort of diagonally behind me. And I see him, I just look over, because I'm curious, and he just does this, and then he does this weird sound. I can't even replicate it, but it was really loud, and it was like, like that. It wasn't a murmur, it wasn't a it was a it was a really weird sound. Anyway, so I'm pulling down this philosophy book, and I don't know what he said to me first, I can't remember, but he said, I think he said, one of the things he said was, do you know what a koan is? And I immediately responded. Now this is where it gets very funny. I immediately responded with a Zen koan, because that's what generally koans are related to Zen. So then he knew I had some knowledge of Zen, of course, even if it was just rudimental knowledge. And he then said to me, you know, like, what's the sound of one hand and stuff like that. Anyway, he then next said to me, do you know what a koan means? And of course in Zen, I suspect that this guy was a Zen master, which is someone who is incredibly practiced in Zen, and he's very, very aware of his surroundings, and lives in the present moment, and is going to be playing tricks on people, because that's what Zen masters do, they play tricks on the students. All this sort of stuff, anyway. He's very, very proficient at it. And and then he says, you know, do you know what a koan is? And now, I like to think of myself as someone who knows a fair bit about Zen, right? And that in itself means in one way that I don't know much about Zen, because someone who thinks they know a lot about Zen actually doesn't have a clue what Zen is. That's somewhat the way it works. So, anyway, I like to think of myself like that. So I always walk around quite suave and quite confident with myself these days because of my knowledge of Zen. And I immediately was thrown off. As soon as he said, do you know what a koan means? Immediately, I couldn't answer it. And I was deliberating in my mind, and that's what you shouldn't do with Zen. You shouldn't deliberate. It's that you should be in a state of non-deliberation and just simply act, you know, with non-deliberation in your mind. So, it was good. So, well, it wasn't good. Well, it was good. It was good in a way. So, I think I'm fumbling. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then I said, right, I've got a good intellectual answer. So I said nothing. A Zen koan means nothing, which is a good intellectual answer, but it's not the answer that the Zen master's looking for. So he was like, okay, you know, in one way. And then, anyway, pushed around a few subjects. And he then comes over to me and he says, you know, you're what? You're 23, are you? And I've never met this guy before in my life, never known anything with him. I don't think he's stalked me or anything, or at least I hope he hasn't, but I don't think he has. But he said, so you're, what, about 20, you're 23. I don't even think he said about, I think he said you're 23. And I was like, how did you know that? And he was like, oh, well, you know, I can just tell these things and stuff. Anyway, he keeps dropping little hints throughout the conversation, like just little subtle bits of Zen. And only someone who would be somewhat practiced in Zen would realise that they are Zen. And he also makes me incredibly aware that he knows me, inside and out. Zen masters will ask you questions that have no answer to open your mind, such as, what does the sound of one hand clapping like? That's the sound of one hand clapping. Now that's a better Zen answer, although I did deliberate a little bit. So yeah, Zen masters will, they will ask you. So, anyway, and this was an ordinary guy. He wasn't Chinese, he wasn't Japanese. He did allude or tell me to the fact that he had lived with Tibetan monks for quite a few years of his life, and they had taught him Zen, or he alluded somewhat to that. So yeah, essentially so he was playing around with me a little bit, and I was just fascinated, you know. That's the sound of one clapping a table. Yes, but Zen is about action. It's about non-deliberative action, you know. It's not, that answer is not right intellectually, but it's Zen, you know. But it's not Zen because, is it on? Is it on? Cool. Anyway, so I didn't think spontaneously with doing that. So that's why it wouldn't have been a Zen answer. It would have been a Zen answer if I didn't spontaneously, if I spontaneously thought about that. But so what was I saying? So anyway, he keeps dropping these things, and I'm amazed by this. I'm intrigued by this guy. I'm thinking, my God, this guy knows, you know. A Zen moment internet cuts out. I know, crazy, isn't it? So I'm intrigued by this guy. I think, my God, this guy's interesting. And Aid did say, no, it's alright, it's back now, DBG, it's alright, or at least it was. Aid did say, are you sure he wasn't trying to crack onto you, ads? Crack onto you? What does that mean? I'm guessing you mean that he was just playing a joke on me or something. I'm not sure. But I did think that for a while. I was thinking, maybe he's just playing a joke on me. Maybe he's just, I don't know. Maybe he's a little bit, he's got good perception or whatever, and he managed to guess my age and stuff, and that's just, could be considered just coincidence or whatever. I don't know. But it was interesting. It was interesting, you know. When I went to school, the teachers always asked me questions I didn't know the answer to. I don't think they were Zen masters, just that I was a bit thick. Yeah, but this guy was, he knew Zen. He knew Zen, and I knew he knew Zen because I know a little bit about Zen, and it could be the fact that he was tricking me. Because Zen master, but that makes me think that he was a Zen master even more, because if he's tricking me, then that means he's more of a Zen master. And Zen masters aren't just people who, this is the conception of a Zen master that I had for a while, of someone, you know, in a kimono or something like that, Chinese, Japanese, who is in a monastery somewhere. But that's not always what a Zen master is. Zen masters can just be ordinary people who essentially maybe had some sort of Zen training in the past, but have then come back into society for whatever reason. They've essentially gone out of the game of society been a monk for a while and then come back into the game, realizing some esoteric knowledge or whatever, and then they start maybe playing tricks on people and just having a laugh with it, really. Have you checked out Alan Watts? I have indeed. I have extensive knowledge of Alan Watts's theories and stuff. That's probably why you can tell, it's some of the stuff that I talk about, essentially. It's very, very close to what Alan Watts talks about. But it's interesting that what that guy was, it just intrigued me. And it just felt as if there was this deep connection, not weird connection, like romantic connection. He's like 72 or whatever. But, I mean a deep connection, like spiritually or something. You know, when you meet someone, you think, did he create the light bulb deal? No, that's, who created the light bulb? Oh, Edison, wasn't it? Was it Edison who created the light bulb? I'm not sure. Thomas Edison? Yeah, I think it's Thomas Edison, right? No, Alan Watts was philosopher, and he practiced then, of course, when in New York for a little time, and he had his first mystical experience at 22. Yeah, 22. He had 3 wives. He died of a heart problem in 1975. He was a huge advocate of Eastern philosophy, of Taoism, Hinduism, and Buddhism specifically. His own metaphysics spanned around the idea of Leela, which is the divine play, essentially that we are all one universe and we just spring up. Every time we die, we just spring up as another person on the planet and live out a different life, essentially, which is a very interesting idea, one that I'm very, very compelled with. Essentially his metaphysics also revolved around getting rid of concepts, much like Taoism, or not necessarily Taoism, but Zen. Also, I suppose, Taoism in a way. And I don't know about Hinduism, whether they get rid of concepts that much, I'm not sure. Hinduism is my weak link at the moment. I'm pretty good with Zen, I'm okay with Taoism, but Hinduism is my weak link. But no, he was an interesting guy, and he speaks to me a lot because he was very weird, very odd, very eccentric in some parts. He was very, very intelligent and very ordered in some parts of his life as well, but he was very, very odd and eccentric, and that's why I like him. And it's I suppose why I feel very compelled with his theory of this, we're all one universe and we're just going to crop up as other people after we die, because some of the things he's said in his talks, without me being aware of those talks, I've had the same theories in my mind, and that's weird. That's weird. That's odd. It goes along with, I suppose, a little bit of the Jungian theory of the idea that symbols and things underpin our unconscious, I suppose, or are there in our unconscious, even, I don't really want to say before birth, but, well, yeah, before birth in terms of in the womb, I suppose. But it's interesting. A lot of what Alan Watts says I can relate to quite a lot, and he's a cool guy. And as I mentioned, if you've been over to my philosophy channel, I say in my first introductory video that he was my main inspiration for a lot of the philosophy and a lot of the passion for that, because the way in which he used the everyday to form an analogy around making people understand very brilliantly and concisely what all this is was remarkable. How he actually did that. It makes me think. I try and do that. I try myself to find these little analogies that I can use to harmonize my theory, let's say a metaphysical theory, with the ordinary everyday existence in the form of this analogy, and try and pair the two in that way, so that then people can see the argument in quite a clear way and think, oh, I actually get that. Actually, that could be something that could be valid, you know, essentially. That's what a lot of philosophers do, but other philosophers tend to do it in a more scientific way. And while Alan Watts did do it in a scientific way, he did in some way do it in a more general, everyday life way as well. Not necessarily just science. He used a lot of analogies around microscopes and telescopes and waves and particles and things like that. But at the same time, he used a lot of analogies around children, around you know, how it feels to be a child and how it feels to do certain things in life and all this sort of stuff. And I think that's that, calling back to that base experience. Of course, that comes from his idea of you know, his interest in Taoism and Zen and stuff. But going back directly to that experience, showing people that experience completely first off, and then building a theory around it. You know, it's brilliant how he did it, and it was able to certainly convince a lot of people and inspire myself with that transition, I suppose, you know, of, or that link between the everyday and then these quite out there or quite different metaphysical theories, or maybe not that different, because I suppose they are quite ancient in their roots, but when he was translating it for a Western audience back in the 60s and 70s, especially his later years, because he did a television show in 1958, 1959, but then after that he started just doing general lectures and talks for a lot of the time, you know, in his later years. But especially when he was doing those later years, I don't even know, I've lost my train of thought now, but yeah, he was doing those later years, and it's very, very compelling, you know, how he managed to direct himself and to direct these kind of ideas. It just compels me, and I you know, and it feels to me, sadly, as if, I don't know whether I want to actually ask people if you get this feeling. So I have the feeling that a lot of the theories that I wanted to display to the world, that I had when I was younger, I'm now reading different books and I'm now learning about different things. And a lot of the theories I had, I realised that people have done them 100 years ago or 50 years ago. A lot of the theories that Alan Watts talks about, I had theories around myself, and I thought, oh, brilliant, I'll talk about them myself. But then you think to yourself, well, yeah, but he's already done that, or this person's already done it, or that person's already done it. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, where do I fit? You know, where do I repeat what they've said and then get labelled as a plagiarist by someone? Oh, well, that person, he's just quoting what that person said, or he's just following the ideology of that person. And it really does make me think, you know, I need my own direction. And I know I'm only 23, so I've got, you know, well, assuming I've got time, I don't know when I'm going to die, but assuming I've got time, then I obviously have got some time to be able to find my own direction. But at the moment, it seems like I am leaning too heavily on that of people in the past and not being able to find my route to actually bringing something to people that is very much my way of doing it. And then so that on Wikipedia, when I die, people can look at me and think, oh, well, he didn't just copy Alan Watts or Carl Jung or, you know, whoever else, you know, whoever else, you know, inspires me. He didn't just follow them. He took on board what they were saying, and then he elaborated on that. He transformed it. He gave his new ideas to it, and he was essentially an individual in his own right, and not necessarily a scholar in his own right, but a someone who can be intellectually directed in their own way, essentially. And so it does make me, at the moment, I'm in this, I know what I suppose it is. It's a feeling of being overwhelmed by my predecessors That's the feeling. So I feel completely overwhelmed by how much knowledge they have. And granted, I'm listening to Alan Watts in his talks when he was like 53, 54, 55. I'm 23, so I've got 30 years to get to the knowledge that he had, and more so, hopefully. But not that I'm trying to compete with him, I'm just saying I'd like to get, even better knowledge, because that's, I don't know, I suppose just what I want to do. But, or maybe different knowledge would be a better way to elaborate on it. So I've got to recognise that that's what I'm doing. But it does make me feel I have this overwhelming sense of, how can I achieve what they achieved? I don't need to achieve what they achieved, because for one, they've already achieved it, but for two, I'm my unique individual. But I mean, how do I achieve and advance on what they've done? Because that's what I want to bring towards the human race. That's what I want to bring towards the people who are stupid enough to sit and listen to me. Oh, well, no, not stupid enough, but you know what I mean, who continue to listen to me. But yeah, I just feel so overwhelmed, and I just don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't have the direction. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I know I must do it. You know how weird that feeling is? I know I must do it, but I don't know how to do it. And I'm so overwhelmed because I've not got the knowledge to do it. It's hard, I've just got to keep... I've got to keep getting that knowledge so then I can get to that place. But at the same time, snacks all round? What are you on about, snacks all round? Coffee me up. I'll have a brew. Coffee and beer and wine for everyone. You discuss how these theories fit globally in the 21st century. Good idea. I have thought about that. But isn't that just essentially taking their theory? And maybe this is what everyone does. Because actually, when I look back to a lot of Carl Jung's stuff, now Carl Jung was not a predecessor to Alan Watts because he was a psychologist, not a philosopher. But a lot of the things that Carl Jung talks about, especially in or what I've found in this book here, Alan Watts says the exact same thing. So it could be that this is just what people do. They do copy their predecessors, but they just say it in a slightly different way, and maybe add a little bit on there, just a little bit of extra on there, just so to make people of the new time feel as if they're getting something new, but I don't know, I'll get there with it. I definitely do want to discuss, so Jung and Alan Watts both had theories, and a few other people actually had theories on how, technology and stuff will essentially be the destruction of the planet, and loads of people have had theories on this. But obviously that was 50 years ago. For Alan Watts it was around 50 years ago. For Carl Jung it was 100 years, well, not 100 years ago, but 60, 70 years ago actually, because it was more to the end of his life that he said that theory. So I could discuss now, with the current technology, where these theories fit in and what my opinion of it is, and if anyone wants to listen to that. And yeah, I could do that, and I could say, well, Alan Watts believed at this period that this would happen. And now, looking at a few of his talks, we can see that, of course, he had this idea that technology is going to be more and more integrated with the personal human, the actual physical human entity, which he said in one of his lectures. And now I can expand on that by saying, well, look, look at these devices like AI, or not necessarily just AI, but virtual realities of one I was trying to think of. We are starting to integrate this technology more and more into our person. And now what we can start to see, and we can just see it generally in this age of technology, is people being more anxious, being more depressed than ever, because they're spending far too much time alone with this technology and not enough time outdoors with nature and with other people on the planet. and therefore I can validate in some way in the 21st century that Alan Watts and the theory that Carl Jung had as well may be starting to come true in a very, very slow and progressive way, in the sense that one day we will blow ourselves up with that doomsday button, because we're all going to be incredibly anxious, incredibly depressed, and technology is going to send us into oblivion, essentially. And that's what I believe as well. Any intellectual person who's looked into technology and its relationship with being social, and its relationship with humanity in general, and not only humanity but in relationship to the environment that that we're living in and that we're a part of, any person who's intelligent enough to have looked into that will undoubtedly say, well, yeah, this technology could be the death of us. And of course we also have to look at the idea that, how do we understand that our logic is logical? Because we don't have any way of verifying within ourselves that the logic that we produce is logical. In fact, it's probably illogical. We don't know. We've not got anything to contrast it off. We've not got anything to verify our logic. We get born into these bodies and we can be logical in whatever sense of the word we deem fit, but how do we know that's logical? There's nothing to determine that logic is right or that logic is perfectly logical. So if we don't know, or we can't completely trust that our logic or the things we do are completely logical or right, then how can we justify producing technology, and especially things like AI, artificial intelligence, and robots that are very, very intelligent? Because if our logic could be flawed in that respect, and it could be, it's very well true it could be, then we could be creating something that we don't have much of an idea about. And a lot of people say, well, we know about AI and we can control it and stuff, but to be honest, I think there's this underlying sneaky suspicion under all humanity that there's this weird feeling of, well, I don't know, maybe we're taking this a little bit too quickly. And I mean, people like Elon Musk have said this, brilliant minds like Elon Musk and other people who really know what they're talking about, and these people have said this. And so really it seems to me that we have to slow down. We have to slow down with progression with technology and get a more base level understanding of our own humanity, and not only our own humanity but our organic and natural own humanity within the environment, within our natural world on this planet, before we ever attempt to start getting technology and start progressing with technology. I mean, we can't really even define ourselves. For example, psychology. It's a field of study that is littered with theories. There's not really any proven theories. There isn't any proven science behind it, really. Of course, it's only now, or in the last 20 years, that neuroscience has come about, and it's slowly able to make us more and more aware of our own brains and our own body, well, not our own bodies, but our own brains, and the way in which we navigate through the world, and what things happen to us, etc., and what things happen in the brain, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, the thing is that we need to slow down. That's my judgment on it all. We need to slow down, and we need to understand ourselves in neuroscience. We need to understand ourselves in psychology before we can ever make any actions, because we don't know whether the actions are right or not. How can we know whether the actions are right or not if we don't fully understand ourselves? It's like when scientists say, we need to study our planet more before we go out to space to other planets. Well, yeah, of course we do. But what are we doing? NASA's got, I'm fully for this. I quite like this idea, to be honest, human exploration and everything. And I love space travel and things like that. But NASA's just come out with the fact that they're going to be going to the moon, right? So they're going to go to the moon, and we're going to set up a base there. And then we're going to obviously go there. And then we're going to go to Mars. And then we're going to go to there. But we'll probably end up getting outside the solar system before we've learned anything of value that is necessary on this planet and to ourselves. So for me, really, we need to start to really look introspectively, both at ourselves in terms of our emotions, our feelings, etc., but also internally in our own planet before we start going off to anywhere else in the solar system or going off anywhere else in terms of progression of any kind of technology or anything. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Why don't you get yourself a Zen mistress? No need to restrict yourself to understanding your own mind or body. Well, I'm sure I will find someone at some point. I'm quite, actually, I've been quite confident this. I don't know why, but I've been more confident this week that something's going to happen very soon that is going to be a positive for me in terms of my my relationship status. I don't even have one, but I have a feeling, I don't know why, but I have this weird feeling that one day soon something's going to happen that I'm going to initiate, of course, because nothing happens of its own. Well, yeah, I suppose things do happen of their own accord, but not in the way of necessarily human social interaction and stuff. It's more give and take kind of thing. But yeah, so I feel that I'm going to do something that's going to make something happen that will actually get me into a relationship. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what it is. But, and you might think I'm mad because I don't have a plan. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know anything. But I have this weird inkling that something soon is gonna come right for me. It's very, very odd. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it won't. Maybe I'll just nothing will happen. But it just seems odd. Anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. It's been 81 minutes now. That feeling is puberty, ads. It happens to everyone. What do you mean, puberty? What are you on, for God's sake? Puberty? My God, no, it's not puberty. It's, I think it's more my, I mean, as I say, I've been reading this book on Jung, but I think it's more my psyche, if we want to call it that, you know, or my brain is well, it's not really my brain, it's more my psyche, is more holistically integrated, you know, is becoming more holistically integrated. So it's making me more confident in the process, which then the confidence leads to meeting someone, right? So long as I can have more confidence, essentially, in certain situations. So, yeah, I just have this weird feeling. I don't know, it might be nothing. Nothing might come of it. I don't know. But with that being said, I'll leave it there. Because I really don't want it. Summer love, yes, well, yeah, look at that, May, isn't it? Summer love. Or it'll be June soon, so. Yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. Hit the like if you liked it. Hit the dislike if you... Oh, God, that's a bit ominous if I turned it the other way around. Hit the dislike button if you didn't like it. I don't mind, you know. I'm keeping going with these. I've had so many dislikes in the course of my YouTube career. That I'm keeping going with these anyway, so it doesn't matter if you don't like me. Then it doesn't matter, because there's a great quote from Dr. Seuss. Those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. So if you don't mind, then I could pretty much say whatever I want, and you'll probably still listen to me. And I pretty much have said whatever I want from through the course of 175 episodes. So those of you that stuck with me, you don't mind, do you, really? So yeah, you matter to me, ads. There we go. So, yeah, so those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Those who mind... Yeah, those who mind don't matter. So if you mind the fact that I'm moaning or rambling or whatever, then you're just going to leave anyway and throw a dislike on it. If you do... if you don't mind, then you're not going to throw a dislike on it and you're not going to leave. And you're going to stay with me forever, or for as long as I'm alive, or for as long as you're alive. But let's not make this too nihilistic, eh? So, yeah, we'll leave it there, and I will see you in the next